Now, you may be wondering why. Why does Nathan keep recording videos in his shed thing and posting them on Facebook for the 5 people who see it to enjoy? Why does he keep doing that? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I keep doing it. I've never felt a moment quite like this. And I know that I'm young, and I know that these inflection points recur throughout different countries' histories, different points in history. I've heard many people talk about our inability to make sense of what's happening in the world for quite a few years, and it seems that every year it ratchets up a little bit more. Our sense-making abilities slowly fading into nothingness. The trust in institutions and news media just hitting record lows, at least in my memory, my living memory. And no true alternative to take its place. I mean, I think for many people, podcasting has replaced news media. And also not just as a source of awareness about what's happening in the world, but as a source of sense making, to find people that you trust to help you process the world. There was Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, when he was doing a good show. Now we've had Rogan for a while. I think the new Jon Stewart is probably Tim Dillon in a strange way. And I don't know if we're moving in the right direction or the wrong direction, but I know it's an inflection point and there's an opportunity in our sense-making apparatuses. And I see now more than I ever have. I understand how our thoughts are not so original. Our lives are not so free and independent as maybe I would have liked them to believe. I'm really not just on my own journey through the world, creating my own thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. I'm a node in a large network, in a society, as are all of you. And ideas spread, beliefs spread in very specific ways. The things that we are allowed to think and allowed to talk about follows a set of rules and patterns in society. I think I'd probably not right now, but I will soon want to talk about the concept of the Overton window and how that actually functions. I think at this point, the Overton window has exploded. I think people watching Israel, of course, responding to October 7th, but committing a genocide in their own right. I think it's become jarringly obvious that words are not violence. Violence is violence. We haven't seen, there has been such horrible violence in the world, but we certainly haven't been paying attention to it. And I think we haven't been paying attention to it because we haven't been funding it directly. So it's kind of reasonable in that way. But the fact that we're being exposed to that level of inhumanity especially on the heels of a time, I don't know how long it's been, 10, 15 years, where the Overton window was so small. Everyone wanted to just feel like a good person so badly, that we went through this phase. We went through the woke phase, right? It was not entirely bad, but it was a very small set of things that you were allowed to think and believe, especially when it came to religion, ethnicity, and race, right? Those are the biggest things that the set of acceptable beliefs and became very small. And all of a sudden, we have an ethno state carrying out a genocide. And I think that we've realized that we don't understand how the world works. There's things that we've been absolutely neglecting to even think about. And I think probably the way that the Overton window expands is when collectively society realizes that it doesn't know what's happening, and it needs to expand its aperture to just get its bearings back, right? I think in a time where things felt stable and normal, and people just wanted to, or people were content with the status quo and with the way that things were going. And so as long as those things are fine, you just try to be agreeable and keep things going, right? I don't think anyone felt motivated to challenge, the United States relationship with Israel unless you were a far, far right, 4chan poster, right? Like, it was a really small group of people that were definitively outside the Overton window and who were rejected by society categorically, outright. Like, as soon as you detected that someone, as soon as you caught a whiff of that attitude of someone talking about race and ethnicity, or talking about someone's religion, talking about Judaism or Islam, Christianity was always, fair game to disparage. But as soon as you caught a whiff of someone talking about race or religion, they were immediately branded as an outcast for, a very long time. And that's the Overton window in action, right? The point was not to engage with those people's, ideas. The point was to say, we're not going there. In the same way that if someone tries to convince me why pedophilia is actually good, I'm just not going to go there. I'll talk to anyone, but I'm not actually open to that argument, right? It's one of those things where it's a value, and it's just not. It's not a place that feels remotely acceptable. So you stay inside. You stay inside that, right? And yeah, I think that the Overton window used to be quite small, and it is now exploded. And it happened so quickly, which was strange to feel. I think I feel like I've lived through my first the first pendulum swing, in a sense. And to be frank, I wonder why people who are a bit older didn't have more guidance and wisdom through that whole experience. To be frank, I feel like at this point, I'm 28 years old, and going through that once, I feel like I understand. I understand the way that my own mind can be pulled and swayed in different directions based on what's essentially ethically in fashion, or the way that social pressure works. That's actually something I'm a little concerned about, is the fact that for whatever reason, older generations are not providing any wisdom or guidance. And I know it's not supposed to be that way. I know that it's there. Oh, in theory, I know that people have lived a long life and have an incredible wealth of information to provide, but there's something about our society that either prevents the transmission of that guidance and wisdom, or maybe things have changed so quickly that people above 50 genuinely don't know how to navigate the world today because it's so different than it was back then. I don't really think that's the case, though. I think it's a sign of something broken societally, that young people are left with so little guidance. And anyways, I'll try to keep this brief, and the next few videos will cover more specific topics. But I think that I, as one node in my community, just one person, I have an opportunity, as all of us do, to be a part of the new sense-making apparatus, to make sense of a world that no one else is going to make sense of for us. I know personally all the ways that institutions, political movements, religious ideas have failed us collectively. They've failed me personally. And of course, there's always a baby to save from the bathwater in many things, in most things. But we need something new. We need the next iteration of how we're going to make sense of the world. And I do have some faith that with enough effort, good faith actors can accomplish that. So I'm cashing in, right? I'm cashing in on all of the relationships that I have with you. If we know each other, you know who I am. You know my character. You know how I act and behave. And that is essentially the leverage I have to help my pocket of relationships understand the world a little bit more and navigate it successfully. Because I think it's so obvious that all of the people that I know and care about, myself included, have been puppets for ideas and beliefs that are not their own, that do not serve us. They're making us mentally unwell, physically sick. They don't give us collective purpose. They don't give us individual purpose. They're not based in reality. And in many ways, they're deranged. And they're deranged not because there's necessarily someone who hates us and is trying to ruin our lives, but it's these, in some case, Kafkaesque bureaucratic systems that spread ideas or spread, different beliefs. And in other cases, it's simply just very powerful people who manipulate the population because they can, and because they have a lot of money, but they also have a lot of power. And anyway, so like I said, herein lies an opportunity, and hopefully we can take that and do something good with our lives, do something good with our communities, and build a new reality out of the broken shards of the one that currently exists. Because I don't know about you, but this reality that has been constructed for us is not it. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth all of the lies that you have to tell yourself to continue to play, the games, so to speak. It's not worth it. And I think we can find a better way to live our lives and a better way to make sense of things. So that's all for now. Let me know if there's anything that you guys want to talk about and try to figure out. And we'll do it together. And I'll do my best. And I trust that you all will do your best in this very strange time. God bless you all. Good night.